All right, I'm recording.
I'm also recording.
Welcome.
Oh, right now?
Sorry,
Okay.
I just felt like.
Oh, okay. I'm totally ready. I'm ready.
I just felt like singing the theme song to get myself fired up. But hey,
Cool.
guys, welcome to Wingin'
Welcome.
It, the
That's
West
why
Wing podcast.
that's why I like the theme song. I think that it gets us in the right mindset. I'm ready.
It does.
I'm ready, but like I'm not too serious. It's perfect.
You can't say like I'm being casual. Saying that you're being casual is not casual.
I'm breezy. Yeah.
I'm breezy. What is that from?
It's from Friends. That's what they tell. Monica says it on an answering machine, and they tell her, "You can't say you're breezy because then that negates the breeziness."
I'm casual about the theme song of The West Wing. Yeah. Let's sing it. That's
where I lose it.
It gets high. It gets really, really high up there.
Man, Snuffy.
We're not warmed up. Welcome to Wingin' It, the West Wing podcast. We're not worthy. My name's Andrea. This is Sallie, and we're going to talk about season 2, episode 4, In This White House.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I don't have a ton to say about this episode, but I'm really excited about it because Ainsley Hayes.
Ainsley Hayes, guys. If you are a West Wing super fan, then you know this is she's not in that many episodes, right?
She's not really, but she's so good.
She's
we'll find out how many episodes she's in.
We'll look into it. But man, is she a delightful character. So that's like the main thing we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Also, we have some fun guest stars, but let's talk about what happens in a general TikTok sort of way, so you kind of know in case you haven't rewatched this recently like we have.
Yeah.
The main thing that happens is that Ainsley Hayes comes. So Sam goes on Capitol Beat, and that's where we meet Miss Ainsley Hayes, who is a beautiful, smart Republican who basically makes a mockery of Sam on national television. And I think we just have to play this little clip from the beginning of the episode because I think it's enjoyable.
Toby, come quick. Sam's getting his ass kicked by a girl. Did you get the popcorn?
I mean, I thought it was funny, personally, which is why we played it.
It is. It's fun.
Sallie's refraining from her true opinions.
It's fine. It's really not even like a. We'll get to it. We'll wait for that later in the show. We don't want to open with some controversy. But I do love that. I mean, Josh is funny, so that's fine. It's a good line.
And then there's a storyline. They're negotiating. I really should look up the way that they describe this on West Wing Wikipedia. But they're talking with the president from the Republic of Equatorial Guinea, right?
Oh, I did not know the country. It's a country in Africa, though. I do know that. I thought it was maybe multiple countries, but then I didn't. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's the Republic of Equatorial Guinea.
Okay,
and the president is there, and they're talking to the drug companies about the antiretroviral drugs that is needed for AIDS prevention.
There's a word
HIV.
for this. What they're doing, a summit. They're doing like a meeting of the things. It's a very official thing that they have both parties there.
Yeah, because they're talking about the cost of the drugs, and basically his country is dying, and it's a very serious issue. It's a very serious conversation. So that's a main plot line in this episode. But otherwise, this episode is also very funny. So it's got the best of both worlds in this episode. Honestly, as I was watching it, I liked it more and more. And this one is a rewatcher for me now, officially.
Oh, interesting. I always agree with you or disagree with you on whether it's a rewatcher, but I don't really just rewatch specific episodes, so it doesn't mean anything for me to be yeah, this is, because it's not. I just binge in order, really. So
that's so. I feel like I'm the anomaly because I feel like everybody I've talked to, they really do go back and just rewatch the whole thing, and I really only cherry pick.
I think it probably depends on, like, the situation. Like, we had somebody on Twitter say, when we were talking about the finale, they say they would watch those 3 in order, the finale and then In the Shadow Part 1 and 2 as, like, a little mini marathon sometimes. So I think there's a good number of people who do that as well.
Okay,
so,
well,
it's fine. It's
you
okay.
guys let me know.
It's okay.
I mean, I've always
This
been
is me being reassuring.
I've always been the weird one in my rewatching habits. Like, I can watch just certain scenes from movies and then feel, like, satisfied. I rarely sit down and watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well.
So.
Okay.
I don't know.
To each his own,
That's
you know?
Yeah.
So, this episode is pretty funny. But, I mean, I don't even know where to begin because there's really only the 2 things happening. There's really the drug summit and there's Ainsley Hayes being introduced. Like, those are the things that are going on. Oh, there's a little storyline with CJ, too.
Yes, a little storyline. She could be doing some prison time. No big deal. This is the perfect time to mention that Sam Jaeger from Parenthood, yes, guys, Joel, is a guest star on The West Wing. I think we need to have a new segment, Sally.
Of, like, guest stars and where they went?
Guest stars, the best stars. I feel like The West Wing has the best guest stars who go on to very bright futures.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We've got a list at least 20 long of people who are now, like, A-list celebrities, I would say.
I think that's fair. Also in this episode, since we're talking about guest stars, I don't know how to say his name, but Lynn Cariou, he's the grandfather in Blue Bloods, which is one of my guilty pleasures. And he plays the mean pharmaceutical dude, the head mean pharmaceutical dude in the meetings. But in Blue Bloods, he's perfectly pleasant, so...
So he's an actor then. He can, like, play different parts.
Yeah, how about that? So, let's just talk about the whole... Okay, we'll talk about CJ. That's fine. Yeah, so CJ, this new reporter guy, who he's so young in this episode, BT Dubs. He's very, very young. Yeah. So he comes up, Bill Kelly is his name in the episode, and he is a new reporter, and he's asking CJ about this energy company who is selling drilling equipment to Iraq, which would be a big issue. And CJ makes a comment that she can't discuss grand jury, the goings-on of a grand jury trial. And then she realizes that she really couldn't have even admitted that there was a grand jury trial. So,
man.
Ruh-roh.
That's the worst. She was trying to say that she can't comment on things. Like, that's what you would think to do, and then... It's like, I cannot comment on the existence of Santa Claus. You know, it's like you can't. Yeah, she just dug herself a hole, my friend.
And her reaction to it is pretty great. Like, she immediately afterwards, she's walking away and she's like, oops. But then she knows, like, she can't even say anything about it because he might not have even noticed. So,
he's new.
If she brings it up, then that would be an issue. I don't know. And then she sort of goes a little crazy. Not a little crazy, but she gets lost the next day on the way to work. Which, side note, we were talking last episode about climbing the rungs to the White House ladder. It's confirmed in this episode that I could never work at the White House because CJ is late to work and she is there at 8:15. And that is late. Normally they're there at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. And it's just, I love my country. But man.
But I love my Serta better.
I love sleep. That is so early. I'm really... This makes me sound like an incredibly lazy person. I usually am up and going by like 8 or 9, but I'm lucky enough that I don't have to be to work until 9:30. I could not be up and showered and functioning and also at work already by like 6:30 or 7. That's a huge life adjustment.
Doing important like
work.
Work.
Running the world.
I teach a class at 7 a.m. on Wednesdays, and I pretty much hate my life every time I wake up at like 6:15. I have to leave the house by like 6:15, but I'm also not going to go talk to the press.
Right. You don't have to you have to be doing stuff, but you don't have to be like as on as they have to be. Yeah. As I'm saying this, like, I feel like I'm like degrading myself. I probably could do it if I had to. It's not something I would seek out.
So if you had to pick a job in the West Wing, like what, I think, well, you and I are both kind of writer people, so we'd probably be in communications, right?
Yeah, I would be communications or like PR/market because I'm in advertising, so something related to the public and how the public sees you.
You would have Mandy's job.
No.
Without the beret. Yes. and without the animosity.
Yeah.
Which also, this would be a good time to mention, thank you again to Ed, our Peter James Smith, who told us that the reason why Mandy was wearing a beret at the beginning of, was it the first episode or whatever the first episode she's in?
The first episode.
The reason why she's wearing a beret is because it was shot later and her hair was much shorter then. Yep. So they had to cover up her hair for continuity.
It's a good inside scoop. I like
This is why we need more West Wingers on the podcast.
Because I really hated that beret, so at least there was a reason.
Yeah, she looked like that kid's story, Madeline, or something.
Yeah.
Mascar.
So, CJ's late. She got lost on her way to work. She's very distraught about this. She's not sleeping. She biked so much on her little bike that she could be in Belgium. It's funny. You know, last episode she was very level-headed and had it all together. And in this episode she is stressed to the max.
She's unglued. CJ, so CJ's a little bit unglued, but Ainsley Hayes, not unglued. She is put together, let me tell you. And she is such an interesting character. She has a very specific way of speaking.
I love that.
Distinctive. And
I love it.
I love that when she gets nervous, she just goes into that weird rhythm. And actually, I really want to play the whole scene between she and Leo. Her and Leo. Dang it, it's one of the two. You guys just pick whatever's grammatically correct.
Yeah.
But I love the scene between Leo and Ainsley where he is offering her a job. And
let's play a bit of it.
Let's play a little bit here.
Tuesday, and I have something to say on my own behalf. If you'll permit me a moment to say it, and I understand if you won't, but I would really appreciate it if you did.
I didn't really follow that, but whatever.
I think that it is wrong for a man in your position to summon someone to the White House to reprimand them for voicing opposition. I think that is wrong, and it is inappropriate. It's inappropriate, and I'll tell you what else.
It's wrong.
Yes.
That's fine, except you weren't summoned here to be reprimanded.
Well, then if you'll permit me, why was I summoned?
You have an interesting conversational style, you know that?
It's a nervous condition.
I used to have a nervous condition.
How did yours manifest itself?
I drank a lot of scotch.
I get sick when I drink too much.
I get drunk when I drink too much.
I mean, anytime that I can hear Leo say, well, you go, girl, it's almost as good as it looks like a hip-hop gesture line.
Yeah, it's like him talking about hip-hop. It's like, all right.
You know what? I really love when we get Leo as comedic relief.
Yeah, I do too. He's great at it. My mind immediately flashes to Barry meeting the president. You know, Barry and the Leo in that whole scene was pretty comedic when he was talking about the dress code, and we knew what he was doing. He was funny in that. But I love Ainsley Hayes. I love the way she talks. I love that she's strong without being Mandy. She is just. Listen.
She's warm.
Yeah.
She's warm in a way that Mandy wasn't.
Yeah. This is one of those where it's just hats off to Sorkin for as much critique as he gets for writing not great women sometimes. Ainsley Hayes is one of the big victories, along with CJ, in my mind.
So here's my question to you, Sally, / all wingers, is that do you think that they brought Ainsley primarily or secondarily to be a love interest for Sam?
I think they probably brought her primarily just to bring another woman on. I mean, I could be way off on that, but like Mandy's gone. I feel like we need another strong woman character. I don't think so.
I feel like they pitted her against Sam from the get-go, and I think that later in the scene when she comes back and says like, "Hey, I'm not going to take the job," it's a very tense moment between the two of them. I feel like they brought her, Lori's gone. I don't know. It felt to me that it was like a Sam counterpart.
I can agree with that because she definitely wasn't meant, she's definitely meant for Sam. I mean, she wouldn't work with Josh she wouldn't work with Toby. She's a very Sam type of girl, I guess. And I say that because I think they're both I see them both as like sort of naive and wholesome in a way that Josh, a girl for Josh wouldn't be. Ainsley is strong and forceful, but she's warm and kind and just a different type of character that fits more with Sam.
Smart as a whip.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why they primarily brought her on. But I don't see it as like, oh, Sam needs a love interest, because they could have just brought I'm not sure. We would have to ask Aaron Sorkin, really.
I just wondered what people thought about that. It seemed to me like there's a little bit of tension between them, as we'll see in later episodes. Plus, their children would be gorgeous.
Yeah,
I mean, they
really would.
Or maybe it would be like they cancel it out. Like they're both so good looking that their kids would be really ugly. I don't really know the biology happens with that.
Mallory gone? I can't remember now.
Oh, Mallory! I kind of forgot about Mallory.
Yeah, because she sort of, in a sense, is sent to Mandyland as well. I don't remember if we see her again, but like, we don't have an explanation of why we do. We do see her again.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we definitely do. Okay, I'm totally crazy. But I don't remember her ever exiting the show.
That's what happens. She got West Winged.
People just
It's a revolving door.
disappear.
People come and go. Sometimes they come back.
That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I liked Mallory. But so that's why I'm kind of hesitant to say, they just brought her in for Sam, because like they had Lori and they had Mallory, so I'm interested. I feel like there had to have been another reason. Either those actresses weren't available, or there was some other dynamic that Ainsley was going to bring.
Well, I like her, and I'm glad that she's there. But, okay, does she really know the White House's phone number?
I thought the same thing. I literally thought the exact same thing. I was like, this is odd. I don't know if it's one of those things like, speaking of which,
well-known in Washington?
Speaking of which, an update. I was chosen to do the extra part of the Nielsen TV ratings. So I've been filling out a Nielsen TV diary. We talked about this several episodes ago, and I told people I would keep them updated. I say this because they call all the time. And so I can recognize their number. They have called several times. Finally, I answered, so they stopped calling. But so I wonder if she's just worked with the White House, so she's seen the number before, and that would be why she knows it, that they have called before. But she's just now getting caller ID. So how would she... So I guess that wouldn't work, actually. Now that I say it out loud. Because that's the only way I know, is that I know that number has called me many, many times, and then I know it was the Nielsen ratings. So I was thinking, maybe it's something like that, but she doesn't have caller ID.
No, it seems like she said she's wanted to work in government since she was 2, which...
Okay.
Whatever. I don't think anybody's wanted to do anything since they were 2. Like,
yeah, I don't know about that.
Maybe 4 or something. Actually, I have a really cute video of me saying, please vote for me, when I was 2.
Aww.
Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I'll run for office someday.
Maybe so.
The minister of podcasts, in defense of podcasts.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is odd that she knows the phone number. It probably is. That's like the comment line to the White House. I Googled it. And so it probably is just that maybe she's called a million times and left messages for the president. I don't know.
There's a comment line?
Yeah, that you can call that number. I think it's still the same number today. You can call that number and you get from what I Googled, you get some sort of answering machine, or you get a person and you can say like, I'd like to talk to the president, and then they transfer you to like an answering machine type situation.
Wait a minute. So there's like an intern who listens to people's complaints all day, every day?
Maybe so. Probably. I don't know. Probably also the Secret
That's got to be full of crazy. Those messages have to be absolutely full of crazy.
I agree. So that's probably why she knows it. But there's plenty of other stuff to talk about. We can just talk about the whole Ainsley storyline. Beginning in the beginning when she is on the show with Sam, which is so fun. Because, okay, so we'll just talk about this. We've talked about, like, Sorkin not writing women well and sort of writing, there's sometimes some sexist plot lines, or seem to be. And I've questioned before whether it's intentional, like it's written that way because that is what women face. And I think at the beginning of this scene is a good example of intentional, that he intentionally wrote it in a semi-sexist way, because Sam is talking to the host, and they're talking about like, oh, it's a young, blonde, leggy Republican. And Sam says, I thought it turned out they didn't know anything. And he says they don't. And then obviously she just kicks Sam's butt, and then the host is like, she does know something. So I think that's a good example of where it was intentional, that's the kind of thing that women face. And then Ainsley just showed them right up.
Obliterates them.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, sorry, was I overreaching? I'm like, yeah, girl, get that.
She does it so well because it's not in like a Mandy way. Like, she just shuts Sam down, but it's in such a collected, intelligent, just perfected kind of delivery in that scene. Don't you think?
Yeah.
She's
it's so good.
She's like taking notes furiously as Sam is talking, and you could tell from the beginning. They're foreshadowing. They're so heavy on the, oh, she's not going to know anything, and like, don't be scared, don't overreach. Like, they're treating her with kid gloves, that you kind of know she's about to come out and
swinging.
Yeah.
There's so many great. I mean, I feel like every time we see her on the West Wing, I enjoy the scene. Like, there's so many great scenes where she's so nervous because she has such a high respect for government, for the administration. Well, not for this administration specifically, but there's a lot. She's just endearing in a different kind of way, and I love that she's there. And at the very end, when, you think that she's going to turn down the job, she says to everyone that she's going to turn down the job. Which, do you really think that she would have? I mean, obviously she doesn't. She accepts it in the end.
Do we think she would have?
I mean, yeah, she was saying she was going to turn it down.
I think there's a chance she would have. I think it would have bugged her forever, but like, I think it would be hard to be like, oh, here's your chance to finally work in this government you've always wanted to, but it's going to be with this administration. Because you do have to wonder also is, you were talking about last episode about if you've worked at the White House, you can pretty much do whatever you want. But I wonder how Republicans would then view her. How many people would be like super excited to hire her because she sort of jumped ship and has worked for a Democratic. I wonder if she's worried about that too.
That's true. Did we play the audio with her and Leo? Yeah, we did. Yes. Where he says, you go, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he says, like, do you want to work here? She's like, in this White House?
Yeah.
Her dream is here, but it's not quite her dream. I mean, I'm sure we've all experienced that in a smaller way, perhaps.
Yeah. And I think, it's interesting that Bartlett tells Leo to appeal to her civic duty. He knows that that's what it's going to be. They have a funny interaction when Bartlett is telling Leo to hire her, and Leo's like, this is one of those things that you're really excited about after breakfast, and you've forgotten you told me to do by lunch.
Uh-huh.
So that was a fun thing. And he asks Charlie, and Charlie makes some sort of quip about it, and nobody thinks it's a good idea except for Bartlett, which I like when he goes on those little kind of things where he makes up his mind about something.
Yeah, he was really like going to bat because Leo was pushing back a lot about it.
Yep. Leo said she can always have my job, and the president said, yes, she can.
And CJ freaks out about it too. Yeah. I mean, she literally like squawks in the middle of the bullpen in the communications department. She's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. She says Leo takes she and Sam into the middle of the bullpen, and he's like, I wanted to tell you in front of people so you wouldn't scream. And she says, what the hell made you think I wouldn't scream where there are people? And that is great. And Leo says, I took a shot.
It seemed like an overinflated reaction from her. I mean, I know it was scripted, but it just seemed like, do you really think CJ would have cared that much? I mean, I think she would have been more surprised than like dismayed.
Right. I don't see why she's that. I feel like Sam would be more upset about it than anybody, and he didn't get the yelling line.
Yeah. Well, who knows? That's just what they wanted.
Yeah.
But her last monologue when she's standing up for the her new staff, or the staff, and she's like, they are righteous and they are patriots and I'm their lawyer. I mean, it was good.
It's good. It shows her sort of naivety though, and like it shows mine too, I guess, because in watching it, I'm like, and I've said this before, that The West Wing makes you like, yeah, bipartisanship, and yeah, America, and this is a good example of that. That it is a great scene, and it's so fun, and it makes you very proud, but the realisticness of it, I'm not sure about.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, it would be cool to find out what that would be like,
Right.
but...
Well, it goes to the question of, I mean, if the president asks you to serve, you would serve, like, it just, I guess it depends on the person, but they definitely appealed to her civic duty. It worked well.
Indeed
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Also, do we all have FBI files? This is what I'm wondering.
I can't imagine so. I don't think
That's
so.
a lot of files.
That's too many files.
Or is it just files of people that they need to know?
Yeah, that are involved in politics, they need to keep an eye on. I'm not sure, but I don't think we all have them. Maybe, I don't know.
I think I know somebody in the CIA. I wonder if they could tell me.
Oh, great. That would be
I should
great.
get him on here. He might have changed his number and his name.
Oh, great.
So
even better.
I don't think he's on Facebook.
I'm trying to think if there's any more Ainsley stuff that I wanted to. Oh, she and Sam and Josh go at it about, no, not Josh. Josh is there, but they sort of go at it about gun control a little bit. Sam has a pretty intense moment about, Josh almost getting shot. That's a really intense moment because Josh is standing right there. And Sam's like, a couple millimeters this way, and he would have been killed by a gun that was bought legally and stuff like that. And it's just it's emotional. But it's another great example of The West Wing doing, it's two smart people debating about something. I thought that both arguments were well put together. Both characters delivered it well. You don't get the sense that that Sorkin is like, I don't know. You don't feel like one party's getting beat up more than the other.
Right.
In these debates.
No, they don't. They don't. They both had very, well put together arguments. It felt like toe to toe.
Right.
And it's just great when a show will make you think about these issues.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not Friends, and I love Friends.
Yeah.
But this is entertaining, but also compelling and thought provoking. So.
Right. So I guess that's it for the Ainsley thing. I'll make one little note about, that's not a huge deal, but I didn't love in the beginning when everybody is surprised that Sam gets beat by a girl. It's not, it's not a huge thing, but literally everyone is just amazed that this woman beat Sam, and except for the women, except for Donna and who is it, Carol? Sam is expecting wisecracks from them, and they just say hello because they're not. They didn't care one bit that he was beat by a girl because they expect girls to beat other people. Anyway, so there's that. It is funny that it's so inside Sam's head that Donna just says, "Hey, Sam," and he's like, "What'd you say? Did you say something about Oregon?" So.
I love it. At the beginning, he's challenging CJ to a short answer general knowledge test. He's like that little dog that's so scrappy, and he's trying to get the big dogs to play with him. That's what I think of when I think of Sam.
Yeah,
he's like,
I could see
try me, do a general answer knowledge test to show how smart I am.
One thing that comes after that scene is they're talking about Pakistan, or they're talking about something. I don't remember how this came up. Yeah, I don't remember how this came up, but CJ says, "That's not the only bargain in Pakistan. My girlfriends and I go for the spring fashions." And Toby says, "It shows," and looks her up and down a little, and then it's right before the Parenthood guy comes up. And Toby says, Toby says it shows and looks her up and down, and she's like, he said that. Now it's going to stick with me all day. And it's just more CJ and Toby-ness.
Loves it. So good.
So
should we dive into all the depressing stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. We should talk about the whole other storyline.
How do we do this? How do we?
It's a tough one because it's another episode where we care a lot. They pick the most I don't know, sympathetic. They pick these actors for these guest roles. Who else sticks out to me is Mr. Willis of Ohio. They pick these specific actors for these guest roles who you're just like endeared to somehow, like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And this president is definitely one of them.
Ugh.
I don't know.
And then ultimately, there's a coup in his country as he's about to go back, and his family members are presumed dead, and they're like, you should stay here, we'll give you asylum. And he's like, no, I need to go and be with my country. I mean, it's just heart-wrenching. And then he goes back, and then we find out that he's, like, executed immediately upon arrival. Yeah. I mean, it's like, the West Wing may idealize a lot of politics, but there are definitely times when they do not shield you from things.
Yeah, they don't shy away from other things, for sure. Yeah. The rest of the episode, the rest of his storyline, they're not shying away from any of this. The drug companies are talking to the president and his translator and everything, and they're not shying away from, like, the realness of this issue. And the part that gets me is when they're talking about, they're trying to figure out a solution, and they're talking about the drug company cheaper. Guy even says, like, even if we gave you all of the free like, if we gave you every pill you needed for every person for as long as they live for free, it still wouldn't make a difference because the medicine for AIDS is so, like, intensely regimented. It has to be taken at very specific times. And there's this moment where they're like, Josh is like, well, why does that matter? And Toby says they don't own wristwatches. And so they can't tell time.
It's just, this episode will just wreck you.
It wrecks you because you're realizing the huge divide. You're realizing this, like, we're talking about this, we're trying to save this. At one point, there's a line about, if this were 26 million Europeans, we'd have solved this yesterday. You realize there's a big divide. And then that line about, like, they don't even have wristwatches, they can't tell time. It hits you even harder. And you're like, oh my God, you know? I mean, it just, whew.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah.
It's a great episode. The only question I had was, does this guy really need a translator? I was confused. Like, an interpreter.
I'm always confused about that when people are interpreting. I guess it's just he knows a little bit, but not enough to be on his own.
Oh, man.
But it's a great Toby episode. Toby is great in these meetings. He has a lot of good lines. He's very somber about it all. Very serious. And
they're trying to get something accomplished for him. They're really trying to make an impact. Yeah. So, I wrote that this is my favorite episode in the season so far. I mean, I know we're only 4 episodes in, but
that's tough.
This is my favorite episode so far.
Even of the first 2?
I think so. Wow. Honestly,
I couldn't.
I mean, there are a lot of good scenes in the first 2. But I feel like from top to bottom, like as a complete scene, I think this one is my favorite. So
that's interesting. There is a line. So like Sorkin's really famous for the speeches and the monologues and just how he's very gifted with words. I feel like we just go on and on about Sorkin's genius, but it really strikes me when it's just sort of a throwaway line, not a throwaway line, but like there can be just these tiny lines in the series, and it's not a big moment, it's not a big monologue, it's not a huge speech, but even the regular conversation. There's a conversation with Toby. Toby and Josh are talking, trying to get this deal, and Toby has this line where he's talking about this president. He's saying, you know, he didn't bring any he didn't bring anybody else. Maybe he doesn't have anybody else, and he has one line where he says, I think he's holding his country together with both hands. And that line, and mixed with Richard Schiff's delivery, is just, it's not a huge moment that people remember. It's not, the Jenna Jacobs speech last episode. It's not one of those things, but it's those little things things like that make the series what it is to me, I think. That it's just quality at any given moment.
Gosh.
I really love that one. Yeah, Richard Schiff's delivery really sits at home because he's sort of like, his voice is kind of breaking when he says it, and you're just like, you just literally like picture this president guy that we already like, and you like just picture him literally like holding his country together. I don't know. It's just, it's just good.
It's a great episode. I'm just thinking Now I'm just thinking about how much I would lose my mind if we got Richard Schiff on the show. I mean, I would lose my mind if we got anybody.
Oh, yeah. Literally anyone that has, like, touched the show in some way. I would lose my mind.
We're working on it, guys.
We're working on it.
We're going to do the best that we can. We've got hopes and dreams.
If you guys want to help, you should just tweet at people. Yeah. A couple people tweeting at Bradley Whitford. Like, just tweet away. Just get it on their radar.
Campaign going. Tell Dule Hill, who plays Charlie, that he and I are both tap dancers. We're hookers. We would have plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
So we'll let you know if we have any like Twitter campaigns going on. If you're not following us on Twitter, join us at Wingin It Pod. If you're on Instagram, we're also there at Wingin It Pod. Or you can email us, TheWestWingPodcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
And let us know what you think about these episodes and things we missed and things that you liked and all the good stuff.
Yep. So, MVP?
Oh, MVP. Gah.
I mean, it's Ainsley for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, but Toby was so good.
Toby was so good.
The president.
Yeah, that's true. Ainsley will have other episodes, which she is only in 12 episodes in the whole series. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that kind of feels like about right from what I know of her, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh,
so I think Ainsley,
I'm torn.
But you could vote for the president.
I want to give 3. Can you give one to Ainsley, and I give one to Toby, and then Toby gives one to the president of the Ecuador,
I think Toby would do that.
Ecuador.
Yep. That's perfect.
I think you would.
Excellent.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad that we sorted this out.
Okay, cool.
Whew. Okay, well, that's our recap of episode 4, season 2. We're just going forward, guys, in this White House. All and right. Do you know the name of episode 5?
Duh. It is, and it's surely to their credit.
Ah, well, we'll find out what they're talking about in the next episode.
Yep, we'll talk to you guys then. Bye.
Bye.